Welcome back to PSC's TechPyth. Today we keep on talking about how you can extend Microsoft Copilot for Microsoft 365, and I want to show you how you can create a Copilot plugin. A plugin is an extension that allows you to consume an external system, for example using a REST API, eventually secured with open authorization, so that your end users will be able to see and consume only the data that they are allowed to see. With a Copilot plugin, we can enrich the experience of the users so that when the user will provide their prompt to Copilot, the Copilot engine will evaluate all of the configured plugins and will choose one to use to enrich the answer to provide to the user. So, like always, let me show you in practice how to create a Copilot plugin.
So here I have a data source that I retrieved from Kaggle, which is an open database of datasets for AI and data analysis. And specifically, I downloaded the Formula One World Championship data so that I was able to retrieve a list of drivers together with additional data about the Formula One World Championship. And in the list of drivers, I have the driver ID, the driver reference, the number and code of every single driver, the forename and surname, the date of birth, the nationality, and the URL to go deeper into the information of every specific and single driver. Now, I've created a plugin with the Teams Toolkit in order to being able to query this kind of data using Copilot in Microsoft 365. So here I have the Copilot chat, and by enabling the plugin, like I can do right here by clicking on the plugins button and enabling that plugin, I can provide a prompt like, for example, search for the Formula One driver with number 33 and code var, and give me his first name, last name, nationality, as well as the URL to get additional details. And as you can see, I can get back a response from my plugin inside the Copilot chat with an adapted card with additional information about the driver. I can go to the additional details on Wikipedia, and I can get a rich UI response in the Copilot for Microsoft 365. But I can also ask questions like, for example, search the Formula One drivers with British nationality and list them in a table with name, date of birth, and country. And if I will do that, again, I will trigger my custom plugin, and the Microsoft Copilot for Microsoft 365 will return me a nice looking table with all of the data of the drivers that I requested for. And again, you can see the output. Now, an interesting thing that we can see is also that we can enable the developer mode. So we can say developer on in the UI, in the chat of the Copilot for Microsoft 365. And now, if I will again provide the same prompt as before, we can see how Microsoft Copilot behaves under the cover in order to determine whether to use our plugin or us while providing me the answer in the UI. So here you can see again, I have my response, I have my table as before, but now I have additional information about the logic that behind the scenes was applied to select my plugin. So for example, here you can see the enabled plugins, which are those enabled in the UI. We can see that it's looking for some matching functions. Then it selected the specific function to use the driver search in my plugin, and then it executed this function with a successful result of 200. So now let's have a look at the plugin itself. It is nothing more than a search extension for Teams built with the Teams Toolkit in this scenario. And inside the search extension, in the handle Teams messaging extension query method, I'm reading the CSV file with all of the drivers using some Node.js packages to do that, and providing the search query. What I do here precisely is that I look at the query size. If it is a query based on just one parameter and the parameter is the surname, in the manifest of my plugin, I have defined a command called driver search, which is the one selected by Copilot in the UI I've just seen before. This is a query command, and it does have a set of parameters. It can have up to 5 parameters, where one parameter is the number, one is the first name, one is the last name, the date of birth, and the nationality of every single driver. So I can make queries based on those attributes. And if I provide just one input parameter, which is the only one with name, surname, then I will simply create a search query for the surname with the value provided by the user. Otherwise, I will build an array of filter and input parameters based on the input provided by the Copilot engine. Once I've done that, I simply browse through all of the data that I've got from the search in the CSV file, and I build an adaptive card for the output, as well as a hero card for the short output that we can see in the search engine results while in Microsoft Teams. And once I've done that, I push every single card in the collection of attachments that I will return as the list of results for my query, for my search query. So pretty simple and straightforward, but we can easily build a collection of adaptive cards which will include the output. If we look at the adaptive card itself, we can see that the adaptive card is a very simple one, where I have a text block for every single property of the driver, where the properties of the driver are defined in this data source that I provide to the template of my adaptive card. Now, the very interesting part of the story is again the definition of the manifest, where I have to be really clear and explicit about the purpose of my plugin, of my extension. So I need to specify that it allows to search the Formula One World Championship drivers by first name, last name, and blah, 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 so on and so forth, so that we can give additional and useful information to the Copilot engine in order to properly choose the right plugin and triggering the search query against our plugin. And the same applies for all of the parameters, as I said, up to 5 of them, so that every single parameter will have a description which will be clear enough for Copilot to understand what to do when we give a prompt, and it is converting the prompt into the actual intent of the user, and then extracting the values for the parameters that will be provided to our plugin. Once I have created such a solution and I have deployed the solution in my target tenant, I will be able to find it as a plugin available in the UI of my Copilot chat in Microsoft 365 chat.
Thanks for watching this video. I hope you found it interesting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.